Imported poultry from neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire and observation for a project.
Supreme Court requests further particulars before it rules on Gitmo 2 case.
Live on GBC24 and GTV, it's time for News Hour. Good evening and you're welcome. My name is Yoko Pakutre.
I am Shirley and Clement Sam is our signer for tonight.
The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has launched a book titled Ghana's Pride and Glory in Accra. The book, authored by Mr. Eduhene Blay Chimbwa, a lawyer, highlights the biography of some eminent personalities, including Dr. Letitia Obin, the first Ghanaian female scientist, Professor J.H. Nketia, and Sir Gordon Gagisberg, the governor who is said to have promoted infrastructural development in the then Gold Coast.
I duly hereby launch Ghana's Pride and Glory by A.B. Chelibwa.
The book profiles some great personalities and their contributions to the development of the country. Ghana has a great history dating back to the colonial era to the current Fourth Republic, where the country is enjoying peace and stability. The 386-page book also asserts that Sir Gordon Gagisberg, as the outstanding colonial governor of all times, taking cognizance of his great contributions to development. Indeed, the book tells the story of some 68 eminent personalities, including 11 women. The biographies are on persons in various disciplines, including politics, law, science, mathematics, among others. Some of the personalities captured include Sir Gordon Gagisberg, Joseph Boachi Dankwa, William Oforiatta, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, S.D. Dumbo, Madame Theodore Okun, the designer of the country's national flag, Nana Oforiatta, and Nana Ajiman Prempeh, among others. The book also captures some eminent personalities alive. These include first Ghanaian female scientist Dr. Letitia Obin, an astute global mathematician Professor Francis Alote, and a great musicologist Professor J.H. Nketia. They said they have been inspired by the book and encourage Ghanaians to cultivate the habit of reading. The author of the book, Mr. Eduhene Blay Chimbwa, said he was encouraged by the fact that the youth of today do not know about those who have contributed their quota to the nation.
I went for a function in Legon and I lost my way. So I came across a young, pretty lady and I asked her to show me where the place was. She sat in the car, conversation started. I asked, which hall are you? She said, Mensa Saba Hall. Do you know him? Or have you heard of him? Oh, I don't know him. I haven't heard of him. Oh, you haven't? I said, no. But I found out that many people didn't know these past great people of our nation.
The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, who launched the book, said the book will serve as a reference.
The work is important. It is a contribution to the understanding of how we came to be where we are and of the people from all walks of life and backgrounds who helped shape that process. He has revealed many insights into the personalities of so many remarkable Ghanaians who are the subject of these brilliant, brief biographies, and whose lives are deeply woven into the fabric of our history.
President Akufo-Addo picked the first copy of the book for 10,000 Ghana cedis.
The Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mr. Mohammed J. Sowa, has outlined his vision for the city. He prioritizes a clean city, following through on a pledge by President Akufo-Addo. According to the Chief Executive, keeping Accra clean is a shared responsibility that requires attitudinal change and around-the-clock service by sanitation service providers. Mr. Mohammed J. Sowa announced this at a news conference attended by representatives of all sub-metros of Accra.
April 2017, the President of the Republic, Nana Akufo-Addo, made a public declaration of the government's vision to make Accra the cleanest city and by extension the most beautiful city of Africa. To be clear, the vision is not merely to keep Accra clean. It is to make the city of Accra cleaner and more beautiful than Nairobi in Kenya, Johannesburg in Cape Town, and South Africa, and Port Louis in Mauritius. The cleanest cities in Africa. It is a vision to which existing action plans and practices may not be able to attain. The vision requires a sea change in policy, action plans, city cleaning approaches, enforcement mechanisms, and attitudes. Being managers of the city of Accra, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, in support of the policy directives of the Ministry of Sanitation, wish to assure the President that we see his vision as realistic and achievable within the time frame and ready to take on the challenge. The President's vision is coming against the background of 2015 Joint Report of World Health Organization and United Nations Children's Fund that ranked Ghana the 7th dirtiest country in the world. It is hard to deny the enormity and urgency of the sanitation challenge of Accra that has been petrifying Accra city dwellers for decades. Clean means clean.
Some of the over 100 people who sustained various degrees of injury from a gas explosion on the main Takoradi Secondary Road yesterday have been treated and discharged from various health facilities within the metropolis. The Western Regional Minister, Dr. Kwekwe Friye, today visited the victims at the various hospitals. We earlier spoke to our Western Regional correspondent, Marie Aziz Tunde.
To the public relations officer, ADO Ebo Boni, he told the media that they are still investigating, but then some of the victims who are workers of the facility, Gamco Aluminium, where the explosion occurred yesterday, they told us that, well, it's an allegation, but according to them, the driver's mate of the tanker, he was doing the discharge of the gas yesterday, and some of them felt that he was not doing it correctly, so they told the driver to do it himself, but he didn't. And then the driver continued. So they think that the driver's mate might have done something wrong, which might have triggered the explosion. But the fire service say they are still investigating cause into the explosion. Today we were at the site today, and then there was this depot, a warehouse, Olam Depot warehouse, which was also affected. The warehouse is right in front of Gamco, the aluminium company, where the explosion occurred yesterday. They also have everything burnt down, but officials they were not able to tell us the extent of losses they caused immediately. And one fireman was transferred to Interbet in the Central Regional Hospital yesterday because the Efiel Kwanta Regional Hospital unfortunately hasn't got the trauma and burnt facility to handle that case. That is why 3 more from the Takoradi Hospital are going to be referred to the Central Region this afternoon. The Western Regional Minister, Dr. Kwekwe Friye, assured the officials and medical directors at the Efiel Kwanta Regional Hospital that very soon the needed logistics will be brought to the Efiel Kwanta Regional Hospital to be able to do its work as expected. One fireman was referred to the Central Region, and then 3 more are going to be referred as we are speaking now.
The Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry is on a 3-day official visit to Ghana to strengthen bilateral relations. Historical ties bind Ghana and Egypt, and discussions are a means to develop untapped areas of common interest.
Ghana relations date back to the period of national liberation across the African continent in the 1950s, as Egypt played a prominent role in supporting Ghana gain independence. As part of his visit to the country, the Egyptian foreign minister will interact with some leadership of the executive of the government. Aside strengthening the relations between both countries, the minister will also explore other areas of economic interest. The Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, identified aviation, agriculture and health as areas both countries can explore for their mutual benefit.
This is the time when Africa is seeking closer cooperation in economic terms. And that, I believe, should feature more prominently on our agenda. How do we, as blocks at least, the northern, eastern, western, southern, various central parts of Africa, how do we cooperate strongly among ourselves by way of even the blocks first and then Africa as a whole? Why don't we become more complementary in our attitude towards each other in economic terms, so that there will be more specialization in terms of industry and in terms of economic development?
The Egyptian Foreign Minister, Mr. Samir Shukri, said Africa is blessed with the needed natural resources and working together will in no doubt bring the needed economic growth.
We recognize that there are various challenges that face the continent, and we feel that we can best deal with these challenges in the spirit of solidarity and mutual commitment and respect that we base our foreign policy and our interaction with our African brethren.
Egyptian investments in Ghana run over $1 billion via the major Egyptian companies operating in many fields such as infrastructure, constructions and power generation.
Students of the Ghana Survey and Mapping School say they will continue to resist any attempt to eject them from their current location until a new place is found for them. The students who are to start their exams tomorrow have vowed to picket at the Lands Ministry if nothing is done about the situation. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has ordered that the school should be closed following a demonstration by the students against moves to build a headquarters for the Lands Commission on the school compound.
The Ghana School for Surveying and Mapping was established in 1921 by the then Governor Sir Gordon Gadgesberg to offer quality training and education in surveying and mapping at the higher national diploma level. It has over the years trained most of the country's surveyors working at the Lands Commission and several government agencies. According to the students of the school, the 12-acre land on which the school is currently located had been given to a private developer who is to build a 5-story office accommodation for the Lands Commission, while the company takes 10 acres of the land for $31 million in return. This arrangement, which started as far back as 2004, has resulted in a lot of friction between the school, the contractor and the Land Commission, with allegations of financial malfeasance. By the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. John Peter Amewu, says investigations by Iyoko proved otherwise. The minister therefore directed that the school be closed to allow for the private developer in question to carry on with the development. At the time GBC24 got to the school, teaching and learning had virtually come to a halt, with the students registering their displeasure. They vowed to embark on a demonstration if their concerns are not addressed.
Until the government and the Lands Commission, together with the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, comes to our aid, be ready to dialogue with us. We will continue to resist because we have realized that they want to put an end to our future.
Oh! A private surveyor, Theophilus Amokwano, told GBC24 that the school is critical to national development.
I'm saying, school, I'm buying because first now, you're German crana, so we are Sabani Nano, they then let us a draftsman. But in the school development, a developer, the student be brea, I'm buying when you see, I know there's a cracks of years and I said, I know, a bit of you. This time students know everyone, employment, so
until a new location is found for the Ghana School of Surveying and Mapping, the fate of the students, including those in the final year, will continue to hang in the balance.
1,000 birds imported from La Côte d'Ivoire have been put under observation at a poultry farm at Oyibi in Accra. This is part of the Ghana Poultry Project to empower Ghanaian farmers and increase their competitiveness in poultry production in the West African sub-region. Winifred Efum reports.
The Ghana Poultry Project aims at increasing agricultural productivity in the poultry value chain through capacity building, improving input markets, and promoting strategic investments and private-public partnerships. As part of the project, management and poultry farmers from the La Nkwantanan District Assembly visited the Amas farms at Oyibi, the demonstration site for the project. The farm is housing day-old chicks brought in from La Côte d'Ivoire and have been placed under observation for 2 weeks.
We are trying to understand the reasons why poultry producers in Ghana have a challenge in accepting locally produced day-old chicks. So we are doing maternal antibody tests of every day-old chicks we source from any hatchery or any part of the world to understand the vaccination schedule of hatcheries, parent stocks that give rise to those day-old chicks. So also to do that, to help us with the comparative studies we are doing, we needed day-old chicks outside Ghana.
The owner of Amas Farms, Mr. Augustine Amankwa, said the knowledge he has acquired from the project has helped in the reduction of mortality on his farm.
Formally, what I know is if I have a day-old chicks, I thought because they need heat, I have to give them some small place so that they can provide heat themselves. But with this project, I've noticed that if you do that, we are going to experience a lot of mortality, and that's what we are experiencing here. But for this one, they have given a few birds big place. Beginning, I thought it's going to affect them.
The head of the Accra Veterinary Lab, Dr. Joseph Awuni, said the birds have been placed under constant monitoring for effective results.
The 2-week-old birds you see here were day-old chicks which were brought from La Côte d'Ivoire under the Ghana Poultry Project. These birds have been separated into smaller pens and they are fed 2 types of feed, the pellets and the mash. The idea behind this is to allow the farmer to know which of the feeds will be better for the birds. The idea also is to help the local farmers to also access markets outside the borders of Ghana.
The Ghana Poultry Project is being sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, to expand national and regional trade in poultry products in the country. Winifred Efum, GBC24, Accra.
The Supreme Court has requested the Attorney General and lawyers of the plaintiffs in a case concerning the legitimacy of the Guantanamo Bay detainees in Ghana to file further submissions. The action will gauge the effects Articles 83 and 84 of the 1992 Constitution has on Article 75 of the same Constitution. This was after the Supreme Court failed to deliver a judgment on the case. Abdulhai Mumin was at the Supreme Court and reports that the court has asked the parties to file further submissions by the 24th of May 2017 and return to court on the 22nd of June 2017 for a verdict.
Margaret Bamfo and Henry Nanabwache last year sued the Attorney General and Minister of Justice as well as the Minister of Interior, accusing government of illegally bringing in the 2 former Gitmo detainees without recourse to the laws of the land. The 2, Mahmoud Umar Mohammed bin Atef and Khalid Mohammed Salih Al-Dubi of Yemeni origin, are among 17 detainees transferred from the prison camp in Cuba by the United States. The 7-member Supreme Court panel, presided over by Justice William Atuguba, has, however, requested the parties to file further submissions on the effect Articles 83 and 84 of the 1992 Constitution has on Article 75 of the same Constitution. Bafwewa is a lawyer for the plaintiffs.
We are likely, or we may, have the position that, yes, there are certain agreements which the President of Ghana can take. So it will, in effect, create a certain exception, which is why the court thinks that we must give further submissions so that they make a decision that would be beneficial to Ghana going forward.
The difficulty of the Supreme Court is that they want to be sure if decisions taken in respect of national security interests to enter into agreements with another country can be overturned by the court on grounds that it conflicts with a constitutional provision. They further explain that as it stands now, the said agreement has already been executed and they are wondering if anything at all can change about it per the judgment of the court. The court has asked the parties to file further submissions by the 24th of May 2017 and return to court on the 22nd of June 2017 for the judgment of the court.
The New Patriotic Party, NPP, has inaugurated a 10-member committee to review the 2016 presidential and parliamentary elections which the party won. The committee, which is chaired by Dr. Opoku-Edusei, has a mandate not only to look at what transpired during the 2016 election, but also chart a way to enable the party retain power in 2020.
Members of the 10-member committee are Dr. Opoku-Edusei, Chairman, Mr. Evans Nimako, Dr. Ohene Kunedu, Madam Joyce Opoku-Boateng and Madam Rita Sobaire. The rest are Dr. Hassan Sulemana Al-Namzoya, Mr. Nelson Owusu-Anta, Mr. Owusu-Boafo, Mr. Osei Ejeyi and Dr. Mark Bediakon. The committee members were sworn in by the Acting General Secretary of the party, Mr. John Boydu, at the party's office in Accra.
These are members that their integrity cannot be questioned. These are members that understand what it takes to run an election. These are members that their credentials in their party cannot be questioned. And their mandate is simply to provide a detailed and honest analysis of 2016 elections countrywide on structures and operations of the party at all levels. They are also to produce a clear, concise, but detailed report to form basis for the party's campaign to win 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections and beyond.
The chairman, Dr. Edusei, thanked the leadership of the NPP and National Executive Council, NEC, for the honor done them.
In any form of review is an exercise that occurs after an event or a process has happened. In this case, it's a post-mortem exercise. We do that because we want to uncover what occurred in order to forestall what will happen or in order to predict what should happen in the future.
The committee is expected to present its findings to NEC in 6 weeks.
We'll be back with the business segments after this break.
Good evening and good to have you join us for the business segment of the news, brought to you by NIB and Ernest Chemist. I'm Dorothy Ajimang. A bidders conference for the ECG concession arrangement is to be held on 23rd May. At this conference, it is expected that a Ghanaian firm or consortium of firms will put in a bid to acquire a minimum of 51% stake in ECG, a move being pursued by the government to ensure that local companies secure majority shares in the power distribution company.
In his maiden May Day address to workers, President Akufo-Addo announced that government was reviewing the ECG concession to allow Ghanaian companies own a minimum of 51% stake in ECG, whilst the remaining 49% goes to foreign entities. This latest review will be given effect at the next bidders conference on 23rd May.
We want a minimum of 51% Ghanaian ownership. The final number depends on what the bidders conference ends up with, and the final number also depends on the subscription. When you say minimum 51, it means that the Ghanaian or the Ghanaian entities have to come up with the 51% of the money. Now we are looking at $500 million spread over 5 years. That is $100 million every year. It means the Ghanaian entity must be able to come up with a minimum of $50 million every year for 5 years. Now, if you find Ghanaian entities that can come up with more money, then the number will change.
Already, 6 companies, 2 of them consortiums, and the remaining individual bidders have been shortlisted to partake in the ECG concession agreement. The Minister for Energy, Mr. Boakye Jako, emphasized that the concession will not lead to involuntary layoffs.
We have said that there should be no involuntary loss of jobs. It means that the concessionaire is required to keep the employees that are grandfathered from ECG to the new company.
Meanwhile, the Millennium Development Authority has inaugurated a 7-member stakeholder committee to, among other things, ensure continuous engagement relative to the ECG private sector participation program. The committee has representatives from Imani Ghana, GJA, Energy Foundation, African Center for Energy Policy, and private sector. All things being equal, the ECG concession deal will be struck by next year.
Inflation has inched up by 0.2 from 12.8 to 13.0% in April 2017, the first in 8 months. The acting government statistician, Mr. Bawadie, says the inflationary figures are induced by transport fares.
Ghana over the last 8 months witnessed a consistent drop in inflation from 17% to 12%. In September 2016, Ghana's inflation rate stood at 17.2% after rising to its highest level of above 19% in recent years. It, however, dropped further to 13.3% in January 17, and by March 2017, inflation in the country was hovering around 12.8%. But remaining at the 12% boundary in the past 2 months, April has seen a 0.2% increase in the inflation rate. A development, the acting government statistician, Mr. Bawadie says, was caused by the 15% increase in transportation fares.
In April 2017, the year-on-year inflation rate was 13.0% compared with 12.8% that was recorded in March 2017. The monthly change rate in April 2017 was 1.6%, while that for March 2017 was 1.3%. The year-on-year non-food inflation rate for April was 16.3% as compared with 15.6% recorded in March 2017. We have transport a rate of 24.9%, then recreation and culture a rate of 22.3%, then furnishings, household equipment and routine maintenance with a rate of 21.9%, miscellaneous goods and services a rate of 16.8%, clothing and footwear for a rate of 16.7%.
April also saw imported items inflation dropping from 15.5% to 15.0%. The Greater Accra region recorded the highest inflation rate at the regional level of 14.2%, and the Volta region recorded the lowest rate of 10.7%.
The Ghana Football Business Expo 2017 has been launched in Accra. The Minister for Business Development, Mr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, reaffirmed government's commitment to creating a business-friendly environment for the private sector.
The Ghana Football Business Expo is a trade exhibition fair that seeks to showcase Ghanaian industries and investment opportunities to investors. The commercial service of the U.S. Embassy Accra, in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Ministry of Business Development, are the organizers. The expo will be held in Houston at the Galleria Mall in the U.S. Areas of interest include oil and gas, mining, tourism, forestry, information technology, agro-processing, textile, healthcare, real estate, the media, among others. Aside the business conference and 2 exhibitions, 2 international friendly matches will be held. The Black Stars of Ghana will play Mexico in Texas on June 28 and US on July 1 in Connecticut. At the official launch in Ghana, the Minister for Business Development, Mr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, said the expo will present a platform for local businesses in Ghana to receive international recognition and establish personal contact with investors.
Ghana is open for business. We are demonstrating the project of this expo to showcase what Ghana can have in terms of business activities across the world. Government, as you know, wants to grow this economy from a GDP of 3.5 last year to 6.5 this year. This will only happen if volumes of business between Ghana and US is enhanced.
The managing director of the World Trade Center, Mr. Dona Kwame, said about 100 participants from Ghana and the US are expected to take part in the upcoming exhibition.
We're using football as a vehicle to look at new trends and also to look at new markets. The US is quite huge. You may be exporting to maybe Atlanta, but we play in the game in Houston. So you could look at the market in Houston.
The head coach of the Black Stars, Mr. Kwesiapia, said the expo is beyond football and it is an opportunity to show another side of Ghana to the rest of the world.
This is an opportunity for all Ghanaians, especially in the US, to come over, to witness these 2 games. We will come out there and let them see the new players we've got, and at the same time, have opportunity to interact with the businessmen.
GBC24 spoke to an exhibitor who weaves kente, Mr. Richard Ohenekuma. He said he looks forward to wooing more investors to the kente industry.
As an exhibitor, I will show the outside world how rich Ghana's culture is and look for partners to do business with.
You're watching News Are live on GBC24 and GTV, and this is the business segment. The cedi stabilized against the pound sterling and depreciated by peso against the US dollar. It also gained value by peso against the euro. Up next is the board. And that's of the commodities. For the business segment, brought to you by NIB and Ernest Chemist. Coming up is the health segment. Please do stay.
Welcome to the health segment. Is brought to you by Amvita and FBAC. Regular preventive care is one of the most important ways to maintain health over time. Cervical cancer screening, which is called the pap smear, therefore becomes important, especially for women's health. GBC24's Oferiwa Darko delves into the medical term pap smear.
For many women,
The thought of getting a pap smear is quite scary. They face severe anxiety prior to a pap test and may even cancel scheduled appointments. Chris Lamponsa tells me that she had to gather courage to get a pap smear.
I was having a discharge that was not normal and a bit of itchy more, so I did a smear, but I was cleared.
She further said that the 5-minute procedure has been the most essential and life-saving test for her. Cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of mortality among women in Ghana. Early detection has better prognosis and outcome, and this is where the importance of the pap smear, which is a procedure for cervical cancer screening, comes into play. A pap smear was named after Mr. Giorgio Papanicolaou, the doctor who determined that the procedure was a useful way of detecting signs of cervical cancer. A pap smear, also called a pap test, is a screening procedure for cervical cancer which tests for the presence of precancerous or cancerous cells on the cervix. The cervix is the opening of the uterus. During the routine procedure, cells from the cervix are gently scrubbed away and then examined for abnormal growth. Doctors recommend that every woman begin pap testing at age 21. A pharmacist, Mrs. Rebecca Opareje, says cervical cancer grows very quickly, so it's important for every woman, especially those who are sexually active or have multiple sexual partners, to go for a pap smear.
The symptoms will not show early, but it's better that you clear yourself. You need to clear yourself. When you clear yourself, you are fine. That one I prefer. That's the precaution for yourself. But you wait for the cancer to spread. The treatment, you find it very difficult to treat. Walk to the government hospital, they will test you. It's not for a charge. There's no fee.
Avoid intercourse, douching, or the use of any vaginal medicines or spermicidal foams, creams, or gels for 2 days before having a pap smear, as these may wash away obscure abnormal cells. Health experts say these prior steps would ensure an effective pap smear. For GBC24, Ofeyiwa Dakon reporting.
Pediatric surgeon at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Victor Ituri, says childhood hernia is the highest congenital disorder treated at the hospital. He cautioned parents to ignore the myth that a child with hernia must grow older before going through treatment.
Hernia occurs when an organ pushes through an opening in the muscle or tissue that holds it in place. Hernias are most common in the abdomen, but they can also appear in the upper high belly button and the groin area.
The hernias that we commonly see are what we call inguinal hernia, right? Hernia that is in the groin. But we also know umbilical hernia, that is hernia on the abdomen where the umbilicus is, hernia in there. So you call umbilical hernia. So if you talk about children with inguinal hernia or hernia in the groin, is the commonest hernia we have in children. Can come in boys, can come in girls, can be on one side or it can be on both sides. The challenge with that is the hernia is because there is an opening that intestine can pass through into the groin. If you have too much intestine going in and not coming back into the abdomen, it gets locked. We say it is obstructed. Once it's obstructed, it means there's a risk of that intestine dying. All right? So you have, the child is there, there's a swelling there, but the intestine in there is dead. And that can kill the child.
A report by the WHO says 1/3 of infancy and childhood hernias appear in the first 6 months of life. In premature infants, the incidence of hernia is substantially increased up to 30%. About 10% of healthy babies may also be born with hernia. Surgeons say childhood hernia is not easily detected, hence mothers must critically observe children, especially when they show symptoms of frequent vomiting, constipation, irritability, or poor feeding. Hernia experts say the causes of hernia in children are unknown. Most hernias are not immediately life-threatening, but they don't go away on their own and require surgery to prevent potentially dangerous complications. Dr. Echiri urged parents to take their children to the hospital immediately they spot a bulge.
When you have a child with a hernia, you have to wait for him to grow to a certain age, and that is no. Hernias, you don't wait because complications don't wait for the child to grow. You can have a baby born today with a hernia and right away it is complicated. So hernias need not be kept at home waiting for the child to grow.
A pediatric surgeon at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Victor Echiri, said the absence of a facility or personnel to manage children with hernia worsens the condition.
The problem, however, is that there are many children with hernias, but there are so few facilities to solve their problem. All right, the number of surgeons, pediatric surgeons in the whole country is 8 pediatric surgeons. In total, we have about 12. About 4 are
We'll be back with the international news. Please don't go away.
Hello, good evening. Let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The national baseball team, the Rising Stars, will face the Edmonton Prospects of Canada in the first international friendly in Canada.
These are members of the national baseball team, the Rising Stars. They have been preparing for their first high-profile friendly international with the Edmonton Prospects, a collegiate baseball team based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. The encounter has been fixed for the 12th of June this year. For the past weeks, the Rising Stars have been training 3 times in a week at their base in Labonte, the Cochin baseball and softball field. Officials say the upcoming encounter forms part of the team's preparations for qualification for the 2020 Olympic Games.
They are just ginger for the game. Yeah, they want to play. They want to play the game. They want Ghanaians to see that, yes, baseball exists in Ghana.
This is the very first time we are traveling out of the shores of Africa. It's a good experience for most of these guys that have not actually seen it to the highest level. Today, basically, we want them to go through the physics, that is endurance, or they go about 5 or so rounds, do some shots, the resistance, that is the sprint, to keep them fit, and then some drills.
Right now, we want more logistics and then more materials as well. So Ghanaians should expect much from them. You know, Ghana, Kankaitizi Black Stars, anything coming from Ghana, everybody on the world is on the watch to see what they're going to deliver. And I know these boys will deliver, so Ghanaians should look much to see very well. I know that we will win this match. Edmonton Prospects is a very big team, but I know definitely that we will win them.
The Rising Stars are currently the 3rd-ranked team in Africa and 42nd-ranked men's baseball team in the IBAF World Rankings.
USA were in NBA action. The San Antonio Spurs really secured a 110 points, 107 win by the Houston Rockets. The win also helps the Spurs take a 3-2 lead in the Western Conference semi-final series. That's all for sports.
Staying on, Miss Ghana USA 2017 beauty pageant will be held on Saturday, July 8th at the Brooklyn Music School in the USA.
10 women representing the 10 regions of Ghana will be vying for the position of Miss Ghana USA 2017. Each will exhibit the culture peculiar to the region they represent and answer questions on their ambitions and personal goals. The winner will engage in service activities in both Ghana and the USA, with the region she represented receiving more attention. The program will commence with a red carpet event from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., followed by the competition at 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, July 8, 2017.
And now for some bits of entertainment news. And that's it for this segment. Coming up, we have the weather report.
To achieve a high yield, you should apply Asasura special cocoa fertilizer to your cocoa trees. Asasura will replace nutrients that are lost from the soil as your cocoa pods grow. First, you must weed. Use a cutlass to weed. Remove all weeds. Any weeds on your farm will take up the Asasura. That is, you will yield less cocoa. Brush under the cocoa trees with a cutlass. The next step is to measure an acre before applying Asasura.
Thank you very much for joining me. Do enjoy GTV. Good. And it's a wrap on the news for now. Thank you so much for watching.
We'll bring you news tonight at 10 p.m. Please make a date with us.
Good evening.